What if the debt on your credit card wasn't invented in a boardroom last year, but 5,000 years ago? What if the very system that keeps nations poor and people working endless hours for someone else's profit was you, born in modern banks, but was carved onto ancient clay tablets in a city of gold? They called it Babylon the Glittering, powerful heart of ancient Mesopotamia. And buried deep beneath its sun-baked ruins may lie the original blueprint for every financial system that has ever existed, including the one you're living in right now. Before we dive in, let me know in the comments, where are you watching from today? And if you want the unfiltered truth about how history, so does money secrets, are still shaping your life, hit that subscribe button now. You won't want to miss what's coming. Let's journey back in time. In the dusty archives of what was once Babylon, archaeologists didn't just find broken pottery. They unearthed thousands of clay tablets, each one meticulously etched with strange, wedge-shaped symbols. These weren't poems or stories. They were contracts, loans, interest rates, pledges of land, and even records of debt slavery. This wasn't just simple trade. This was a system of control. The very first bankers weren't men in suits. They were temple priests. They held the community's silver, they issued credit to farmers and merchants, and they charged a staggering 20% interest. If a farmer had a bad harvest and couldn't pay, the consequences were dire. His land, his livestock, or even his own children would become collateral belonging to the temple. Does that sound eerily familiar? Think about today's 30-year mortgage, where you pay back far more than you borrowed. Think about your revolving credit card balance, with interest piling up month after month. Or think about national debt, where entire countries are shackled to lenders. It all echoes the same fundamental pattern established in Babylon. The priests promised that the silver they controlled was sacred, a divine gift protected by the gods. In our modern age, we're told our currency is backed by faith and credit in the government. It's a different set of gods, but it's the same fundamental illusion of trust. By the time King Hammurabi came to power, around 1790 BCE, this system of debt had spiraled completely out of control. Society was fracturing. The gap between the lenders and the indebted was so vast that the kingdom itself was at risk of collapse. Hammurabi, in a move that seems radical even today, issued the world's first debt jubilee. He declared a clean slate, loans were forgiven, ledgers were wiped clean, and citizens who had been forced into servitude over debt were set free. He wasn't being soft. He was being strategic. Hammurabi understood a critical truth that we seem to have forgotten. A system built on endless, compounding interest will inevitably lead to its own destruction. Fast forward 4,000 years. Today, the world is sitting on a mountain of debt totaling over $315 trillion. That's more than triple the entire world's economic output. It seems we've learned absolutely nothing from Babylon's mistakes. Their system created a society that rewarded lenders, punished laborers, and relied entirely on belief. When that belief finally broke, the mighty empire crumbled into dust. But the system itself didn't die with Babylon. It was too powerful, too profitable. It simply migrated. It flowed through the Persian Empire, then into the marble halls of Rome. It was perfected by the merchant bankers of Venice, and later, the colonial powers of Europe. And finally, it found its new home in the modern temples of finance, from Wall Street to Washington, D.C. in 1944. As World War II was ending, leaders from around the globe gathered at a resort in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. Their goal was to build a new, stable world order from the ashes of war. The result was the creation of two immensely powerful institutions, the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, and the World Bank. Their stated promise was to ensure global stability and prosperity. But what has been the result? For many nations, it has been global dependency. When the IMF rescues a struggling nation today, it doesn't just hand over cash. It demands policy changes as collateral, things like privatizing public assets, cutting social spending, and opening markets to foreign corporations. The priests of Babylon once demanded land and labor as collateral. Today's financial institutions demand a country's economic sovereignty. Sound familiar? And here is where the story takes a darker, more speculative turn. Some financial historians have made a startling discovery. They found that some of the early economic models used by the IMF were not based on modern theories, but were strangely similar to the ancient Mesopotamian grain systems. The principle was the same: control the supply to control the price, and by extension, control the people. But it gets stranger. Whispers began to circulate in the 1980s among high-level financial circles. Rumors of a mysterious cache of gold, marked with ancient Babylonian seals, that had been quietly acquired by powerful institutions with links to the IMF. Officially, this discovery never happened. The records are sealed, and the story is dismissed as a conspiracy. But unofficially, old-school traders in the private gold markets of Zurich still talk about it. If these whispers are true, it would mean that the very same gold that may have once funded the temples of Babylon, the original source of this system of debt, could still be sitting in modern vaults today. It would be the ultimate, tangible symbol of continuity, a golden thread connecting the ancient temple of money to the modern one. Because in part 2 of this investigation, we are going to pull back the curtain on how the IMF's hidden reserves might actually work. We'll explore how they echo the secret temple vaults of Babylon, and we will reveal the shocking truth about a missing internal document that some insiders called the Babylon Principle. You will not believe the name that shows up in those hidden records. So, make sure you don't miss the next episode. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments too. You believe these ancient systems of control are still at play in our world today? Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because the second half of this story uncovers the mechanism behind the myth. Thanks for watching.